Well, we're here. We have reached the first 100 days of the Trump regime. And I know, like me, you are all absolutely exhausted. I literally cannot believe that it has only been 3 months. It feels like we have been circling the drain for the last 87 years. On today's show, we're going to run through some of the insanity of where we find ourselves. And the fact is, folks, if you think it's bad now, I am telling you that you ain't seen nothing yet. And if that doesn't scare the shit out of you, then you're just not paying attention. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show, dear friends. Buckle up. It's Trump 100 Days of Chaos. Let's get into it. You know, I'm looking in the comment section and I have to put this one up, Thendara, because I like the accuracy of this statement that reads, sleep doesn't feel like it does anything anymore. I 1000% agree. Like the level of exhaustion that I have today seems to feel like we've been up for the last 100 days, like wide the fuck awake for the last 100 days. It has felt torturous. It has been uh just I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how to classify into words. But, that meme, right? That goes around, it's been 87 years. Like it's wild. And so I appreciate because today I appreciate the New York Times. And if you listen to me, you know that I do not always appreciate the New York Times at all. But I appreciate them today because I'm going to run through an article that they put together to mark the 100 days. And I don't know if you're like me, but I am a visual learner. And so to see some of these charts, we're going to take a look at 8 charts and where we find ourselves. And the fact that, folks, I can't imagine where we are going to be in June. I can't imagine where we are going to be in December. When we are at the year mark of Donald Trump's first year of 4 or 400, depending, I can't visualize the destruction that will be America AD after Donald, because it's unrecognizable right now. And I think that is what's so traumatizing. And I know that the word trauma is like used a lot, and in some cases it's overused. But there is no other word to use that encompasses collectively what we are going through. Like I will say this, clearly the Canadians got the message and they saw this shit show for the last 100 days and said, you know what we're not doing? Following that shit. You know what I don't want to be? The 51st state of a fucking dying empire. And they actually use the United States as foreshadowing. And unlike us, who couldn't use the first 4 years of Donald Trump to be like, you know what? I don't want to live through that again. And the folks that thought, oh, well, we hung on the first time, we'll be able to hang on. Have your fingernails broken off yet? Your fingers still intact? I said last night, I was hosting the Ms. Foundation for Women, largest philanthropic women's organization in the country, was hosting their Women of Vision gala last night and recognizing some of these extraordinary grantees, these women that are on the front lines of fighting for reproductive freedom, voting rights, immigration rights, like in the crosshairs. All of them had just lost federal funding. And they're like, we're going to make a way out of no way. But I said, you know, like, this is what it feels like if you were to take a Sharknado, had a baby with a tsunami, and then you threw like an IKEA kitchen department of knives into it. That's the visual of this moment. That's what I said on stage. Because Jesus. So here we go, folks. If you haven't poured a cocktail yet, do so. If you don't drink, get yourself a nice cup of tea. And if you smoke, then that now is the time, because we're going to work through some shit today. And I feel like by the end, y'all are going to be like, so where is the flight attendant to show me the exits? Because I would like to get the fuck off this plane. Here we are. Trump's astonishing 100 days in 8 charts. The first 100 days of Donald J. Trump's second presidency have been a study of extremes. This is an understatement, dear friends, especially when compared with the start of presidential terms over the last century. Compared with other modern presidents, he has signed the most executive orders in this period, collected the most tariffs, and had the most lawsuits filed against him. Markets have slumped, as have his approval ratings. And they're like, below are the 8 ways Trump's first 100 days stand out. Here we go. Chart 1. He issued more executive orders than any modern president. So you see Donald Trump up top. It's been 100 days. Look at where everyone else falls in comparison. Because here's the thing that you have to remember. In most administrations at this point, you are still flying high off of your election win. Normally, you're coming in with a Congress that wants to work with you, and you're not needing to file this many executive orders because you're trying to skirt procedure and rules and process. But that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He is ruling by fiat. So he has the most executive orders, and in his first day, he signed 26. And every day is another order that comes out that goes against the reasons why we have a Congress to begin with, which is where the laws are supposed to go through. So we go and we look at this and we're just like, I look at this chart and I'm thinking, well, this is the only place where most things are going up. And was sued in federal court more too. Look at Donald Trump. Look at everybody else. Bush, Biden, Obama. Why is he being sued so much? Because he is radically changing the role of president into being a king. And without debate in Congress, without bipartisanship, without open process, he is just strong arming the country into the vision that 2025 let out. And so he's being sued. He said Trump's executive actions have already led to an explosion of lawsuits. Some of the legal intensity can be explained by the speed and scope of his actions, meaning you're operating at a breakneck pace because what did Steve Bannon tell him to do? Flood the zone. You overwhelm the people, right? Overwhelm the country with a flood of executive orders before you've wrapped your arms around one. There are 32 more that have come out. So he is flooding the zone with these executive orders that are being challenged in the courts. Here are some that they have included, which we have seen and we've talked about here. Cutting funding across numerous programs, firing large swaths of the federal workforce. I think that we are at over 250,000. Imposing emergency tariffs, then, reversing, reshaping immigration. By reshaping, we mean legalizing kidnapping of people in this country and then sending them to foreign gulags on a pay for play that you're doing. Demanding federal oversight over universities, you mean threatening to withhold funds to universities who do not bend to your will. Here's the next chart. Revenue from tariffs increased. So here is where this gets funny to me. They impose all of these tariffs on like over 180 countries because in Donald Trump's mind, everyone is ripping off America. The only person that I know that's ripping off America are the fucking billionaires that refuse to pay taxes. You want to talk about ripping off America. Nonetheless, the idea here is that, oh, well, you put these tariffs on, these countries are going to have to pay more. And then just like Mexico was supposed to pay for the wall, these other countries are going to be paying for the increase in tariffs. Okay, they are to a certain extent, but who do you think they're passing on the cost to? The idea, of course, is that somehow, overnight, magically, all of a sudden, the U.S. is going to have all of these bustling factories in the Rust Belt once again, and that, oh, well, American goods will become cheaper, so there'll be more hiring and we can create more stuff here. With what skills? How long does it take to put a factory together? How long does it take to employ people in that skill? This shit doesn't happen overnight. But do you know what does happen overnight? The cost of products going through the roof. The early results of his policy have included a large recent spike in the amount of money the federal government is collecting in customs duties. But amid the geopolitical and economic turmoil the tariffs have caused, Critics have argued that the countries targeted by Trump will not bear all of the higher costs. Newsflash, folks, all of the economists before this regime was elected said tariffs, terrible idea. They are nothing more than a consumer tax. Prices are going to go up. America gets half of its lumber from Canada, a majority of its oil from Canada, its steel from Canada, everything else from fucking China. We talked about this before. The CEOs of Target, Home Depot, Walmart rolled up into the White House last week and said, if you don't stop with this tariff shit, we are going to have empty shelves. What did I say last week? 50% of the items at Target, which, by the way, I think it's in its 12th week of profit decline because of the boycotts, are from China. So not only is no one shopping there right now anyway, but who is going to pay for these products to come in? So instead, the penalties may largely fall on the companies and American consumers who ultimately purchase the products that enter the country. Every single thing is connected. So, again, they want you to believe that Donald Trump is playing four-dimension chess, and I'm telling you, he's licking the board. He doesn't know what game he's playing. His Treasury Secretary said that, oh, it's strategic uncertainty is how Donald Trump is dealing with the economy right now. Is that a euphemism for bullshit? Is that a euphemism for fucking it up? Strategic uncertainty? Sir, what are you talking about? Sometimes, he said, in negotiation, certainty isn't really a good thing. How are you negotiating then if you are uncertain about what you're negotiating? Are we then just bluffing? Is that what we're doing? Is your idea of negotiation just one giant bluff? Assuming that the other people that are holding cards at the table, that you know what they're holding? Like, what? But this is their new idea, right? This is the new iteration of there are facts and then there are alternative facts. There's certainty, but then there's strategic uncertainty. It's all smoke and mirrors, wordplay, bullshit. Because they don't know what the fuck he's doing. And there's no one in the room with him who has enough ovaries to say the truth. You are fucking everything up and you need to be reined in. But you saw the cabinet meeting today with them all lined up with their red MAGA hats in front of them, making North Korea look like a democracy. The breath in that room must be so bad from the ass licking. That's all I have to say. Let's move on. Here's the next chart. So here's part of the strategic uncertainty, my friends. The dollar has plunged. Look at everyone else. Reagan in 1981, dollar increased. Clinton, the 90s, dollar's up. Biden, after COVID, global health pandemic that we all like to pretend didn't fucking happen rebounded the economy. Donald Trump, in 100 days, has basically turned the dollar into trash. How does anyone with any brain in their head look at this and they say, yeah, this makes sense. This is good work. The value of the dollar has fallen sharply in recent months. The chart that I just showed you shows an index that measures the dollar's value against a basket of major currencies, including the euro, the yen, and others. One of the sharpest slides came after Trump announced large tariffs on nearly all imports April 2nd. While he temporarily reversed course, the dollar has yet to recover. So let's just take a beat for a moment. So your tariff game of chicken has backfired. Consumers are about to bear the brunt of higher costs. And now their dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. I'm not an economist, but I'm pretty sure that's a recipe not just for a recession, but for a depression. Not to mention, by the way, people are losing their jobs. So then they don't have money. And what money that they do have, guess what they're not going to be doing? Spending it and putting it back into circulation, because they're going to have to hold on to what it is that they have for dear life, making matters even worse. You can already look at some other charts that have gone around that say that people aren't coming on vacation here. So whereas you would be able to get revenue from the tourism industry, every country, damn near, is on the decline in coming to the United States. So areas of the country, like let's say a Florida, that benefits from a robust tourism economy, doesn't have that. Then what happens? Well, guess who can't take vacations either? Americans. So guess what industry then begins to suffer? Hotel industry, restaurant industry, cruises. Everything is connected. If my dollar has no real value and I'm also out of work, I'm not in a place to have discretionary spending. So I'm only buying the goods and services that I absolutely need. Everything else falls by the wayside. If I just bought a home, now I'm selling that home, which we've talked about how the DC, Virginia, Maryland, they call the DMV area, which is filled with a lot of federal workers. Those federal workers have all lost their jobs. So they're all selling their homes. The housing market is crashing in that area. Restaurants are closing. Dry cleaners are closing. Nobody's taking Ubers anymore because they're not going anywhere. Taxi services are going down. So places like a Washington, D.C. over cherry blossom season, which has just wrapped up, visitors down, people that live there leaving. I don't, it's like the domino economy is just moving as if Donald Trump just went like this, flick, and it's all coming crashing down. And they want us to believe his Treasury Secretary literally looked into a camera and said, "Oh, Donald Trump, strategic uncertainty." And they think that shit is going to sell because they think we're stupid. So, guess what else has fallen along with the dollar? Yep, the markets fell too. This is shifts in the S&P. You can see this, there was a spike, right? And that's where Democrats want there to be an investigation, because the spike that we saw happened about a week or two ago came before Donald Trump even announced his reversal on policy with regard to certain tariffs. But Marjorie Taylor Greene got herself into the stock market and just started gobbling shit up, as did other people, because they were tipped off. Nonetheless, when we break this down, during his first term, Trump often, if you remember this, referred to the stock market as a barometer of success for his presidency. This time, he has been far less vocal, even as some of his proclamations on tariffs or his views on the Federal Reserve and interest rates have led to wild swings in recent weeks. The S&P 500 has fallen by more than 7% since Trump's inauguration. His inauguration was 100 days ago. He wiped out all of last year's earnings. The S&P is on track for the worst performance for stocks in the first 100 days of a presidency since Gerald Ford in 1974. Also interesting, the State Department was quiet. Of course, maybe they're not counting Marco Rubio sending out tweets where he would say that people don't need due process and no one is welcomed here. The State Department press briefings, once a near daily opportunity for an administration to communicate foreign policy aims, became much rarer in Trump's first term. In his second term, the briefings have been more infrequent. The changes to this practice are consistent with the administration's attempts to reduce and reshape government to a degree unseen in generations. These are what you call euphemisms. I would say reduce and reshape mean pillage and destroy government to a degree unseen in generations. There, I fixed it for them. Those efforts have included the freezing of foreign aid spending, the dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development. Last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio unveiled a plan to make major cuts to the State Department, calling the government's diplomatic agency bloated, bureaucratic, and beholden to radical political ideology. So they about to, guess what? Call back and fire a bunch of diplomats, which also means what? More job loss, which means what? People that thought that they had stable government jobs are now out of a job, further damaging our economy. And also, of course, they don't want to give briefings, because why do they want to tell you what they're getting rid of so that you can have pushback. The damage that is being done by this administration, if ever undone, we won't be alive to see it. It is going to take generations. And while the rest of the world, during the time that America tries to rebuild itself, will be light years ahead of us. I don't think that folks truly understand how the decisions that are being made now will put America into the dark ages for generations. The brain drain that is happening, people who are fleeing this country for other countries. America has created a vacuum in the world for research, for funding, for democracy, for leadership. It's all going away. And if anybody thinks that that is coming back in 2 years or 4 years or 8 years, you are not paying attention. Federal funding for medical research slowed. And in that time, do you know what has exploded? Oh, our measles outbreak. The National Institutes of Health funds more medical research than any organization in the world, and has tended to provide huge returns in economic innovation and improved health. But the Trump administration has made big cuts to NIH's research funding. Some of the cuts have aligned with certain political priorities, including the termination of studies on care for trans people, cuts to studies on racial disparities in medical care, and the elimination of some categories of vaccine research. The cuts have also reflected Trump's feuds with educational institutions, including major funding freezes on grants to Columbia and Harvard. Because, yes, what Bert just shared in the chat is true. They want to kill us all. It is not just going to be, oh, well, we'll get the information from elsewhere. The National Institute of Health funds more medical research than any organization in the world, and they have just got it. So, God forbid we experience another pandemic, we won't have the resources, the brains, the power to fight back against it. If you thought that COVID was bad, the COVID that just cost 1 million Americans their lives, 500,000 of which didn't need to die if Donald Trump had actually been responsible. You want to talk to me about federal cases? The only case to me that still hasn't been brought, that should have been brought as soon as Donald Trump left office, were charges against him for absolute malpractice as a leader for killing 500,000 people by telling them to go liberate Florida and liberate Michigan and not to wear a mask and to shoot bleach into their arms. His conspiracy theory bullshit allowed for hospitals to receive bomb threats during a crisis. I mean, it's remarkable. It is truly remarkable and stunning. And finally, as if this is a shock to anyone, Trump went from being popular to wildly unpopular. Again, why is the 100-day mark an important time that we in the political world and in media focus on? Because it is the time when a president is going to be their most popular and have the ability to push forward their agenda and not receive as much pushback as they would moving forward. This is the time when the public trusts you the most because they just voted for you. And you're given a little bit of what is supposed to be a honeymoon period to prove to the American public that you were the right choice. Donald Trump has beaten himself in being the worst at this time, which is a 80-year historic low in approval ratings for any president. He is circling the drain at roughly 39%. And folks, just to put that into perspective, people still have not felt the effects fully of the tariffs yet. And this is where his approval rating is. Although Trump won the 2024 election only narrowly, he entered office with important strengths and opportunities. This is according to them, not me. Voters said they trusted him to handle issues like the economy. I have no idea why you would trust a man that has filed for bankruptcy 6 times and bankrupted a fucking casino, who squandered hundreds of millions of dollars that his daddy gave him. Why would you think that that man would be good on the economy when he can't balance his own shit? They thought he would be good at handling the economy, immigration, and energy. On each of these issues, the new president had a chance to find public backing for his conservative agenda. 100 days into his second term, Trump's approval rating is underwater. Polls show that he has managed to turn long-term strengths on the economy and immigration into weaknesses. So the question is, are we feeling great again yet? Are we sick of winning yet? We have no allies. We have no friends in the world. America's innovators and thinkers and academics are fleeing. No one is coming to visit us. The products that are coming into this country are going to, in some cases, double in price. We don't have the skills to even build up robust factories to produce what it is that we have relied heavily on the world to produce for us. This is what many would call, what is that word? It's on the tip of my tongue. Fucked. Every which way. And Donald Trump said today that the first and second quarter of the economy and where we are is Biden's economy. Biden left office, honey, in January. He handed you the keys to a robust economy. You took the keys to that car, drove it over a cliff, crashed it into the ground, then lit it on fire, and rolled it over another cliff. So Biden ain't got nothing to do with this. This is all you. But he's already set the stage, folks. That next quarter gonna be worse than this one. And I know that he's right. Because more people will have lost their jobs. More people will be feeling the pain, if not all of us, of the tariffs. Oh, and by the way, the Supreme Court is getting ready to put your state dollars where people are like, well, I'm living in a blue state and I think we can protect ourselves, to take more money out of education to put into Catholic and religious schools that have no desire to teach critical thinking or innovation. But this is where all the state money going to go to as well. Folks, if you got kids, you got means, you better start thinking about someplace else to be, because America ain't it, and their future is not bright here. And those are facts. I wish that I was wrong. Unfortunately, I am not. We are in a world of pain. And my fear is that this is just the beginning. So I don't know. But I got to tell you that 100 days in, I can't even imagine where we are a year from now. It is astonishing. You know, oh, Philip said, well, authoritarian theocracy. Can you say Gilead? Yeah. I think that will probably be the place. So here's what I'll say, my dear friends. Start thinking about what you're doing. If you have the ability to have a plan, now is the time to start thinking about a plan. Now is the time to start thinking about what resources you do have and what ability that you have. And if you don't, then now is the time to build community, build underground community. Collective care is the only way that we are going to manage our way through this. Because it is only getting worse from here unless the people decide to rise up, national strike, as I've been calling for God knows how long. We are not voting our way out of fascism. I don't know what delusion Democrats are living under right now. The collective of Democrats, and not just the few that are out there doing the work and having the conversations and being in spaces, but I'm talking about the collective. I don't know what they're doing, but we cannot wait on others to save us because nobody is coming. That is it for me, dear friends. I am sorry that I cannot end on a positive note. I will continue to say this, that if you have not subscribed to this channel, people keep asking, what are the ways in which I can support? What can I do? I feel helpless. I feel hopeless. Folks, click subscribe here. It costs you absolutely nothing. Share, like, comment, right? Feed the algorithm. Help us build a robust community of like-minded people so that we can take some type of collective action. Support independent media when they are weaponizing lies. So if you have the ability to give as some have today, I appreciate it because this is, you know, this is what we need. We need more people telling the truth. We need more people with resources willing to offer what they can. So we are in this together, dear friends. And I will continue to help navigate through this Sharknado knife tsunami for as long as I can, as long as I am able and free to do so. As always, my dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I appreciate all of you. Take care of yourselves.